Hello, my name is Brian Matyjevich, and welcome to NEPIRC, Northeastern Pennsylvania Industrial Resource Center. Today you're going to hear an abridged version of our 8-hour class, Six Sigma Yellow Belt. So let's talk about it. What is Six Sigma Yellow Belt training? You're going to see some quick overviews on the information, and hopefully you'll be interested in you coming back for more. So this is free training from NEPIRC. You can check it out online. Check it out on all our social media pages. So what is Six Sigma Yellow Belt training? We have our Six Sigma roles and responsibilities. White belt is entry level, someone who just gets involved, just gets started. People who are going to give the information on the production floor for your problem. Yellow belt is what we're going to talk about now. Again, this is just an abridged version. That's an 8-hour class we have. 8-hour certificate course. Participants as a project team member reviews processes and improvements. And then we have our green belt class, which is a 40-hour certificate course. Leads green belt projects, assists with data collection and analysis for black belts. We're working on our black belt class, and like I said, I'm a master black belt up there. So some things you need to think about when it comes to problem solving in Six Sigma and Lean is to think outside of the box. Study another industry. Your problems may be unique to you, but someone else may be solving your problems similar to you at another industry. Take a tour, read a book, watch some videos about what they're doing. Take a class, take a certificate class, very similar to what we're doing right here. You can sign up for one of our courses, you can take some online classes. You can also find some free online classes throughout the internet world out there. Read a book on a new topic, somewhat related to your field perhaps, something somewhat related to your manufacturing or your processes. Working the problem backwards is really, really good. Thinking outside of the box, I have a product defect, I have a problem, I have an issue. Find it right before it ships and stop, and then go backwards. What did you do? How did you do it? How did you handle it? When did the defect show up? Going backwards from beginning to end, from end to beginning is a good way to problem solve and think outside of the box. Invite others into your circle. With fresh blood comes fresh ideas. What's really good about that, it could be your new employees who just started. It could be friends. Start talking to them. Hey, I have an idea. Socialize, network, and figure out those issues. So change management is one thing we also talk about in this class. How do you, if you come up with a new idea and you're going to roll it out, how do you get everyone to accept it? New ideas can be actually hard. Here's some good quotes I always like out there. Everyone thinks of changing the world, but no one thinks of changing themselves. Oh, they've got to do it different. I want them to do it this way. In all reality, you may be the person that has to change. It's only after you stepped outside of your comfort zone that you begin to change, grow, and transform. In our class, I actually talk about an example of one of my coworkers sending me some files last minute that I didn't know how to work with. It was a software I wasn't quite familiar with. I sat down and figured it out, and now I love that software. I step outside of my area. This is a really fun exercise we do here for change management in our class. I use it in a lot of my classes here at NEPIRC. Handwriting exercise. We all write notes. I have hundreds of notebooks floating around. Here's something you can do at home real quick and real easy. I'll give you a second. Okay, great. You got a pen, you got a paper. Write down your name just once. Write down your name straight out. Very simple. Cursive, handwriting, either way you want to do it. Easy peasy process, easy peasy step. Okay, keep writing. Write it 4 more times. So in total, with your primary hand, you're going to write your handwriting 5 times. I'll give you a couple seconds. In all reality, you can come back and pause this. Now we're going to switch hands. If you're right-handed, go to your left, go to the right. Write your name out again, full name, last name, whatnot. You're going to find as you go through this process how aggravating it may be. Why do I have to do this? I don't want to do this. But a quick note here, 10% of the population is left-handed and only 1% are truly able to alternate between both hands. So now you're writing them out. You're starting to think, this is not fun. I don't want to do this. Why is he making me do this? Maybe it's funny. Maybe you're looking around the room. You're saying, let's see how this person can do it. Sometimes we have students that actually can write with both hands quite well, usually from an injury. Here's a student's handwriting here. You can see a right-handed person. She filled it out, Jillian, very well. 5 times. Third on the left here is her non-primary hand, her left hand, and she was very frustrated. By the 3rd one, she wanted to stop. Don't make me do this. By the 4th one, she was complaining. By the 5th one, she started to get better at it. She was like, all right, maybe I can actually learn how to do this. And that's one of the things you need to think about with change. I don't want to do it, but maybe I can get better at it. And when you're thinking about Six Sigma and Lean, you're coming up with solutions, you're coming up with problems, you're coming up with ways to change your manufacturing environment. So what goes through your mind when you're doing change? Frustration, this is a waste of time, I don't want to do it this way. Maybe straight out horror, oh, maybe I'm going to quit, I don't like this job anymore, they're changing the way it is. I was used to the way I was. What was the reaction when you wrote with the other hand? You don't want to do it. So some of the things you think about in a handwriting exercise are actually related to your business. The size of the change doesn't always matter. Sometimes you get really strong reactions. People get very upset. They don't want to be involved in it. Change equals more effort. Even silly, simple change. It could be a checklist. You have a checklist in your hand, and for 7 years you filled out the checklist. You went throughout your job. Maybe someone changed in the office, changed that checklist for an important reason, and now it's affecting your job out there. It can aggravate you very much. So although you may come up with great ideas to improve your process in your facility, you have to realize these changes can affect people. Change exposes confidence or lack of. Oh, hey, listen, I got that change real quick. I feel good about myself. Well, not everyone can actually get that. People get aggravated, they get upset. I don't understand. They're looking around the room. Why is that guy getting it better than me? What's wrong with me? And it makes people feel a little upset. First reactions aren't always fatal. It's common a participant initially balked at the idea of writing with their wrong hand or their non-primary hand, and then all of a sudden they say, oh, you know, I can actually do this. I'm going to get involved in it better and accept change. People often judge. And when you're doing change in the workplace and change in the manufacturing, you look around, you look over your shoulder. Why is it? Why are they done doing their handwriting quicker than I am? What's wrong with me? Why can't I get as good as them? And you feel like you're judged. You feel like you're not being accepted. Poka-yoke. Let's talk about some Poka-yoke here. Poka-yoke is a term from Japan. It was coined in Japan in the 1960s. Comes from the Toyota Lean concepts. The initial term was actually Baka-yoke, meaning foolproofing. So Poka-yoke is actually a foolproofing method. So a quick story, I rented a car once, and when I returned it, I said, buddy, there's a problem with this car. It's pulling left real bad. And he laughed at me. He says, that's lane correction. That's a Poka-yoke. It was keeping me on the road. I was probably crossing over the line. So that's some of the methods they're putting in technology with cars and whatnot, keep you in your lane. I know my car will tell me if I get too close to another car, it beeps, and when I back up and all that stuff. Human proofing it, we're not as great as we think, so we should rely on these Poka-yoke processes. Here's some quick other examples. In a parking spot, some parking garages have concrete so you can't back into another car, little curbs. Traffic signals, one of the greatest ones I love about that now is LED lights. I guess that's something we don't see anymore. We used to look up and say, hey, the green light's burned out, and you're sitting below there waiting for someone to fix it. LED lights have changed the traffic lights. Certain plugs will not plug into each other one way or another. You know, three-prong plugs. One has a larger post than the other. You've seen the weird colored, if you don't drive a diesel, you may think it's weird, gas nozzle. It's a larger nozzle. It should not fit in your car. I've seen people try it. So you don't put diesel in there. And you see that over here on the far right, we have a nice gas cap hanging from a piece of plastic. That is simply so you do not lose your gas cap. A lot of people have left their gas caps in the past on top of gas stations. I myself have lost some. Here's some other fun human proofing good things. This is a little odd with the ketchup. I don't particularly buy that one, but it's so you don't get the goofy, yucky stuff when you squirt it onto your burger or your hot dog. It's upside down. If you don't know what that little hole is in the sink, it's Poka-yoke. It's so you don't overfill the sink. You turn it on because you're washing something. You walk away. You come back. There's not water everywhere. The water will actually go down that hole. Same way goes for the treadmill. You don't see it a lot in public treadmills, but your treadmills at home have that little clasp that you can hook to your shirt or your pants, so if you fall off the treadmill or step back too far, it shuts off. It's human error proofing. So some more skills needed for problem solving. Skills aren't just your technical skills. It could be hard or soft skills. So hard skills are some technical ones. Proficiency in a foreign language, a degree or certificate. I can type fast. I'm good with IT. Lean and Six Sigma training. That's a great thing to have on your resume. It helps you get promoted. People understand that you're a natural or a trained problem solver. So it's actually hard skills. A certificate and anything you can actually physically put on your resume. So soft skills are one thing that's lacking greatly out there, especially with the younger workforces. There's a lot of studies out there. Soft skills, on the other hand, are subjective skills that are much harder to quantify, also known as people skills. So I'm sure we've all heard this at work before. There's a new guy working there. Maybe he's been there 6 months. Maybe he's been there 6 years. And you have said this. Why did they ever hire that guy? What did they see in him? It's usually his resume. He's got a really good resume. He's got really good hard skills, but he's lacking in people skills. So problem solving and Lean and Six Sigma, you actually need some good people skills. According to a 2018 study, nearly 4 in 10 corporations and almost half the academic institutions said new hires lacked soft skills. So that would be communication skills, interpersonal skills, leadership, creative problem solving, work ethic, optimism, and growth mindset. So these are very important in the job place, and it's very important with problem solving. So again, communication, flexibility, leadership, motivation, patience, problem solving abilities, teamwork is a really strong soft skill. Soft skills are just as strong, as important as hard skills. Communicating and sharing your thoughts via soft skills are just as strong as creating something new. You can go out on your production floor, you can go out in manufacturing and solve their problem by bringing maintenance out, maybe fabricating something for them to make their job safer. But sometimes it's just as important with problem solving and improving your workplace with soft skills. Sitting down and talking to somebody, understanding their problem, being a good listener, getting to the root of why there's actually an issue, not just physically purchasing something for them. So here's a good one. Know where to find the information, how to use it. That's the secret of success. I don't remember everything. I don't remember all these acronyms that come up in our Six Sigma training, but I can look them up, and I'm very good at these, but I can't exactly remember them all. So don't think you have to be an expert, you have to be a data analysis. Oh, I'm not cut out for this type of stuff. Six Sigma classes today are going more towards problem solving, more towards people skills, and letting the computers, the gadgets that we have actually do the math for us and figure it out. So some things we cover in our 8-hour class, the fundamentals, Lean and Six Sigma and actual Lean, integration of the two together, and team basics. How do we form a team to solve an actual problem? Who do you actually put on that team? Some white belts, yellow belts, etc. We're talking about the define phase, the voice of the customer, which is very, very important. A lot of people don't consider the voice of the customer. It's not necessarily the end user. It could be your next department, who you're handing it off to. You need to talk to that customer and figure out, do I still need to do all these steps, or am I wasting time? We touch on basic statistics, data sources, process capability, etc., and communications. We do an analyze phase in our yellow belt class, root cause, FMEA, which is a great problem solving technique. We do the improves phase and our control phase. Controls phase is very important for putting your implementation in place and making sure it actually gets done and repeated. So yellow belt will usually be a general member of the workforce utilized for their skills and knowledge. Do not underutilize your yellow belts because they most likely know more than you about the issue. You might be a green belt or black belt, or like myself, a master black belt. I can't solve all the problems unless I bring the people in from the production floor, because they're the ones that actually know how to do this. They're the ones that understand how to get the problem solved. Six Sigma Yellow Belt certification is aimed at entry level and new to the world of Six Sigma. So you can walk right in our classroom, spend 8 hours not knowing a thing about Six Sigma or Lean. We cover all the basics and we get you rolling. Often the Yellow Belt students come back for the 40-hour class because they want to get certifications to be a Green Belt and lead more projects at their work. And this usually leads to more promotions on the job. We'll talk about value-added and non-value-added processes. What is needed to create the business. I actually use restaurants as an example, fast food restaurants. So McDonald's, you make French fries, but the fryer's right here and you're putting the basket in, you're making fries. That's the value added. What's non-value added is the fact that he has to walk to the trash can and throw away the bag, which is 20 feet away that way. Or he has to walk to the freezer the other direction to get the actual food out of the freezer to put in the fryer. That's non-value added to the process. Move everything closer, make everything efficient. And we actually show you how to do that in your facilities. A lot of times you walk around your facility just looking for the work to do, and it's non-value added. So we talk about some problem-solving techniques like we like to call downtime. Defects, overproduction, waiting, not utilizing employees' talents. You may have someone on your staff that has talents you're not aware of. I like to do a resume game with the students in the class. First day in our Greenbelt class, I tell them, I need you to update your resume as quickly as possible, even if it's pen and paper. And then we talk about, does your employer know these talents? You may be there 8 years and taking some classes they're not aware of. So not utilizing employees' talents is very important. Transportation, inventory, motion, and excess processing. These all can lead to non-value-added material. And this is statistics that's very important here. Typically 95% of all lead time is non-value added. So you have your value added. This is what it takes to actually make the product. Non-value added is everything else. Running around, getting approvals, getting the stuff out of the warehouse, talking to purchasing, talking about your weekend. Everything that happens in your facility, it doesn't create an actual product. And we figure those out. It's a lot of waste in manufacturing. So real quickly, we'll talk about every aspect of this. We'll dig deep into this. These defects, these downtime, they actually give you ideas on how to improve your business. Often I see students in class writing down things. I ask, what are you writing? What's up? Well, I just thought about 3 or 4 things we can immediately fix to eliminate waste. So this 8-hour class gives you a lot of ideas. Overproduction, you're making too many parts in one department where another department actually needs help. Waiting, very often people are just sitting around waiting for a certain signature, a certain product, a certain approval to come down the pipe for you. Again, underutilizing people's talents. Sometimes there's teams that can come together with certain talents that you didn't even realize you had underneath your roof there. Transportation is very often, you see this nice funny forklift driving around here, but that's very often people running back and forth with motorized equipment, powered forklifts to pick up stuff that should not be so far away. That's all about organize your workplace a little bit better. Inventory, making too much material, poor scheduling for one department versus another, and poor management communication. So excess processing is usually a lack of communication, particularly customer requirements. Very often a customer comes to you and says, we want all this done. Well, 3-4 years later, if you check with them, maybe they don't want all that done. Maybe they only want half of it done to actually make the product. Well, guess what? That saves you time. That's waste for you if you just talk to your customer. Find out the actual voice of the customer. Emotion waste, again, is poor layout, non-standard work method. Everyone's running around looking for their actual stuff, but there's not a place to put it. So Six Sigma, a term, or what is the actual Six Sigma seriously? It's a term for a product or process that produces only 3.4 defects out of every million opportunities. So why is that very important? Variability can lead to poor quality, poor service, excess cost, and frustration. If you don't create the same hamburger every single time, the customers are going to start getting upset. Every time I go there, the food is different, so they're not going to come back to your restaurant. I use restaurants because everyone eats. But in manufacturing it's the same way. If you pull something off the shelf and every time you go to get it, it's a different product, you're going to have a lot of frustrations. So Six Sigma was introduced by Bill Smith, a Motorola engineer, in 1986. There's some varying facts and historical facts. Some of it came from Toyota, some of it came from Motorola. Motorola was spending between 10 and 20% of revenues on poor quality, directly and indirectly related. So they wanted to concentrate on the poor quality and find all this waste. He used statistical problem-solving approach and the increasing profitability and reducing costs. Statistics are important, but we no longer look at teaching every step of the way of how to do it. Six Sigma has been around for a while, so there's a lot of people coming out of college that already have this experience. So we're leaning more towards problem-solving, critical thinking, and figuring out ways to actually get everybody in the same room and start working on the issues as quickly as possible. So we have the Deming cycle, comes up a lot. You'll hear the Plan, Do, Check, Act process. It's very famous with your ISO 9001 2015 and your AS 9100 systems. Plan, Do, Check, Act is understand the current state, test the chosen solutions. You're actually going to do what you all decided you're going to do. You're going to check it, measure the solutions. Did it actually work? It worked, but we can actually do it better, and that's when you act on it. And that's when you get that recycling method over there, Plan, Do, Check, Act. DMEAC process, we dig deep into that in our class here. Define, measure, analyze, approve, and control. Define it and quantify the problem and objective. Measure it. Gather a baseline of where you're actually currently at. Analyze and validate the causes of what's identify the critical factors, what's causing the actual issues here. Improve it. Okay, we think we have a method, we have a process, we can actually change it. And then control it. Control it is your standard work. Controlling it is figuring out exactly what needs to be done and making sure everyone's signed off and they all are now doing it the same way. If you've recycled this idea and you come back and you want to improve it again, then you have to sign them all off in the current proper procedures. Plan, do, check, and act. It's the same method. So Lean and Six Sigma are combined. You may have had some Lean processes at work. You may have learned Lean methodologies, but Six Sigma have a lot of the same stuff where they can work together very well. We talk in our class about Lean tools, pull and Kanban systems. Here's an example in a restaurant or a grocery store where if you were to pull off one container of strawberry preserves off the shelf, the stock boy or girl comes over and takes one and puts it right back in that spot. Not 15. They don't put them all on the floor and stack them up. They just refill that one exact spot. That's how you need to run your operation, not jam 50 things in the back of the place and now you have to move them 5 times in products, searches and all that. So team players in a Six Sigma system, you have your technical experts and subject matter experts. That's your yellow belts. They are the people you pull in to help you out. They're the people that have the knowledge about the processes. As your production workers, maybe your maintenance staff, maybe your IT guy, maybe it's some of your accounting, depending on what part of your plant or your facility you're actually looking into. Some other team roles we have in a Six Sigma team as a team leader, which is generally a black belt. Facilitator keeps meeting on track. And these are positions you would assign to each other. Scribe and recorder, very important to communicate and get all the information. A lot of great ideas come out of this class or out of this projects, and you need to remember them all. Timekeeper, a coach, and a team member. Generally, a coach is your master black belt, but most facilities don't have master black belts. A black belt will have to do, or you can bring in a consultant who sits down and say, all right, we're going to point you in the right direction, which could be someone like NEPIRC, who's master black belts. You're going to want to create a good communication chart to have all the information in the project statuses of what everyone should be doing and communicated it properly. So here's a really fun thing to think about. It's an old story, but I really like it in aspects of your data. Is your data actually correct? So you're in charge, you're an engineer, maybe you're an engineering manager and you have engineers below you and they're providing you with data. This is where we're failing, this is where we did a trial and this is where it actually worked, this is where it didn't work. Is that data correct though? Are you just running through your business and accepting the data, or are you questioning it? This is a gentleman who did not question the data and basically wasted his life here. But when I say wasted his life, but Percival Lowell devoted much of his life and fortune to finding Planet X. So there's this planet floating around out there. I may get the planet names wrong, but Neptune, and Neptune had a weird little shake into it. And usually they find out the reason the planet is not going in a complete cycle, a complete circle, is because there's a gravity pull of another planet pulling it. So they detected this, and he spent his entire life. He started in 1905. It wasn't until 1993 that this supposed Planet X was not actually a real thing because his data was wrong. Now we go into it deeper in class, and it's a really good story. But just to let you know that his data was wrong because he was relying on improper data from a telescope station that had maintenance work done, and the actual telescope had a bit of a shimmy to it, which was skewing the data. So he spent a very long time. He passed away. His brother took up the project, and he passed away too. And it wasn't until 1993 that there was no Planet X. The other issue is they actually found Pluto when they were looking for this actual material here. So the positives and the negative. So the positive here in this situation is they actually found a planet. While they were out looking for the material in the sky and the supposed Planet X, they actually found Pluto. Here's some more ones we can think about now. Common day life. COVID-19 has actually given us a lot of really good things besides the bad that came of it. Increased telehealth, drive-through clinics, more mental health support and funding for that. We have working from home, better technology, better shopping, and ship-to-home companies such as food, beverages, etc. Flexible learning options for schooling. NEPIRC has worked really well at that with virtual training. We could take classes online and in person. More online events and activities, and advances in medicines and treatments. And I've seen a lot of natural hair colors come out too, because some people couldn't get to the salons to get their hair done. Rapid tests, rapid COVID tests. So I always think about the positives that can come out of a negative, just like when that astronomer found Pluto, which is apparently not a planet anymore. So voice of the customer, what is really important? What does the customer really want? And it's not just about the end user, the person who's getting your product. It could be the next department. I mentioned that earlier. A process of establishing clear customer requirements to drive Lean and Six Sigma improvements. What is actually critical to quality? Do we need to do that step? We deal with a lot of machine shops who will make a process and a step. We drill it, we tap it, we deburr it. But then they drill and tap it over there, which creates more burrs. Well, then why are you deburring it in the first step? You're wasting time. And we find that a lot. Cleaning things that don't need to be cleaned, sanding edges that maybe don't need to be sanded because it's going to happen again. So you question everything. Do we need to do that? Time everything. What's taking so long with this process? It's not skipping a step. It's looking at it if it's value added. Does the customer really want us to actually do that? So these are some examples we talk about in our class, what's actually critical to quality. We go through an example and some brainstorming sessions on an airline here. So we have a fake airline. I was on a hold for 20 minutes. My flight had no diet beverages. In-flight Wi-Fi was not working. So we take all these complaints, all these issues, all these customer problems, we start to categorize them into legitimate areas. How do you make sense of this? We do it with brainstorming classes, affinity diagrams. Here's an area we broke it down from pre-trip to en-route to post-trip. So you can figure out, well, this in-flight Wi-Fi has nothing to do with post-trip, so it's a different department. Let's concentrate on the Wi-Fi and maybe the IT and the technology aspect of it. But it's just an example of how we break all the problems down and get to the root cause of the issues. So here's a critical to quality tree diagram, a voice of the customer. What does it actually mean? And we have the needs and the drivers, and we continue to break that down. We take your problems when you come to class and we actually work on them. I suggest to all my students before they show up to class, either I come and visit your facility or you actually call me and we talk. We have a Microsoft Teams meeting or a phone call. Show up with problems beforehand so I'm ready and I can teach you how to fix those problems. So here's some critical quality translations gone around. You may have seen this one around. It's quite old. It's been on the internet forever. So how the customer explained it, and it goes through how the programmer wrote it all the way down to how the project was documented. Basically, it's 10 versions of a tree swing. Sometimes the customer thinks they want something, but you got to talk to them and realize you might just want this, which is really good. You don't see that much at a car salesman. They try and sell you everything. We talk about process mapping, how to map out your entire process. We have different methods to work it out, understand your whole process. There are some issues with process mapping and value stream mapping where you record what the president of the company tells you it is, not what it actually is. So what's really important is actually walk the process. Get out on the floor, talk to the operators. Well, that's the way we're supposed to do it, but we don't. We do it this way. Understand that. Talk to your workers. Talk to other divisions. Walk out for sneaky process steps. We've dealt with a company recently that said, Brian, we don't have scrap. What do you mean you don't have scrap? What's all that stuff over there? That's rework. We melt that down, we put it back in the machine, and we remake a product. That's not scrap. But there's a cost that goes into that rework. That takes time. That takes man hours. That takes time off your schedule, slows down your orders. So you look at ways to actually eliminate that rework. They weren't seeing the dollar signs until we started pointing it out for them. Project charters, we'll talk about how to make a Six Sigma project charter for Green Belt and all that. It's very important because it gives you your goal statement, your problem statement, what's actually wrong and the direction we're going. What does that do? It actually gets you a buy-in from your executive board, your plant manager. You know what, this is working out good, they're solving a lot of problems. Let these people continue to work on these issues. It's a good project plan, a good project team. Communication plan. Communication is very, very, very important in every step of the problem solving. Do not let the information be lost. Share it with everyone. There's no secrets. When you're having an issue with your process, your quality, what you're doing, share it with the whole plant, share it with the whole area, and they're going to have the answers for you. If you have a giant dry erase board, I always recommend start filling it out and leave it up there. Everyone can help out. They might walk into your office, drink a cup of coffee, and look at the wall and go, oh, hey, Don't do that because we're doing this. Oh, I didn't know that department was doing this. It's a good way to communicate. So who is responsible for communication? The marketing communications department? Probably, right? They're the ones that are supposed to get the word out. Your manager, the executive management team, your spouse, your kids. Ever hear communication sucks around here? That happens a lot. You're responsible for communication. It's up to you to understand. If that guy didn't understand me, what I told him, maybe it's my fault, not his fault. Maybe I was not clear enough. And that happens in every aspect of the job, from entry level all the way up to the top of the company. We're all responsible for communication. If someone didn't understand your message, you must take that responsibly. Example communication methods, meeting agendas, meeting notes, project status reports. You want to have good meetings. You want to let everyone know where you're at. You're not just wasting the company time. Communications of PR, senior management needs to understand the short-term impact of such resource changes as well as project buy-in. This is what it's going to take to improve it. This is how much it's going to cost. We need a little bit more time. This isn't going to cost anything if we just change the process. We found a lot of waste. We found improvement. You will find it's so simple to improve productivity and efficiency and the quality just by getting everybody in the same room and discussing the issues in an organized fashion, and we'll teach you that here. Tollgate review is that. You will come forward and let everyone know, hey, this is where we're at with the project, this is how much it's going to cost, and this is what we're going to do. It's very often in a Greenbelt project, you need to do this on a regular basis. Again, defining the tollgate review questions. This is your value stream. This is where we get into more of a value stream process. It could be a lengthy process, but it's very important to understand what is actually done in your facility. Very often when you create a value stream map like this one here, it will actually have up there every process, all of your quality steps. So this is a very complex one. It has everything in there, and it can take quite a lot of time. However, we have simpler ones here. This is what a human resource division about onboarding their facility from drug tests to applying to the job, the whole process. This is something that you can sit down with your one department, fill out every process and step you're doing, and present it to the executive board, and they quickly understand, oh, okay, that's why they're so busy. Now I understand that. Where can we improve this? How can we help? And now everyone's on the same page. We will discuss in the class relevant time categories, cycle time, lead time, changeover time. Again, this may be, you may not know what it's about. It may be information that's over your head, but we will explain it for you. Data collection is very important. We talked about the satellites out there who had issues. I'm sorry, telescopes out there. We talk about critical to quality. This is the example going back to the measurement delays. Measurement system analysis is a process for determining if the system is capable. So this is where we get into our statistics and stuff. It's basic for yellow belt. In a green belt class, we will go a little bit more in depth on it. We talk about precise accuracy. Is it precise every time, or is it accurate every time? What we want is in the end there. We want the target in the middle every single time. We'll talk about and explain that. If it's biased, we talk about bias measurements, linearity. Linearity examples, stability in your process is creating the same product, the same happening every single day. And we'll analyze how we do that. Precision, repeatability, reproducibility. Can you make that product again? If you can't, then something's out of control. We need to work on your standard work. We need to work on your engineering, your processes, your machines, etc. We talk about gauge repeatability and reproducibility study. This is very important. Can you actually collect the proper data? I did a trial once where I collected the data twice, and one was way off than the other, and I couldn't figure it out. It's because the second time it was on a Friday, and I wanted to go home. So I skewed my own data. I was trying to hurry up through the process. So I had to go back and redo it again. But that is an important example of how your data could be wrong. Data collection plan is a detailed document that describes the process for gathering data. It clearly defines the purpose and scope of the data collection. This is where you could really lean on your white belt and yellow belts. Get them involved, get them into the system and say, I need you to help figure this out, collect this data, this is exactly what I need, you're good at these instruments, please reply the data back to us and we're going to work on these problems, and get them to be involved with it. We talk about sampling, how you sample your processes. We give examples about sampling in off shifts, morning, nights, etc. A measles chart is a good way. We use some examples of how to track your processes. in your defects in a quick, simple manner. This is an example at a Tesla factory where you would mark down your defects on the line. I don't think Teslas have defects, but this is where you mark your defects on the line in a quick manner so everyone can figure out where it's happening and then work the issues backwards. So this is a fun one that I like to do with a lot of classes, especially when I'm on site with a client, is the spaghetti diagrams. How much do you actually run around in your facility? Here's one of the local production areas. So you first show up to work, you walk around your facility for 15, 20 minutes, you don't get anything done because you're just getting set up. Maybe you're firing up the machines, maybe you're talking to people, maybe you're looking for your parts, maybe you need your gloves, maybe you need that tool that was moved. Then you're walking around 45 minutes, now you're starting to get work done. A little while later, this is your whole facility. Now you're working and you're getting a little bit of work done. By the end of the day, you've left the facility, you've walked up the street to the other facility, you've come back, but you realize how much you actually walked during the day. It's easier said than done in this day and age with our watches that can measure the actual steps, but we actually measure the steps you actually walk around. You'd be surprised how many miles a day you walk, not contributing anything to making the product. I need this, I need that, I need my stuff, where'd this go? We ran out of this part. And we teach a lot of that with our Six Sigma and Lean methodologies. Electronic systems we'll touch on. A lot of people have systems in their facility, they don't know what they do. So we look into them. We look into what do you have? What software can it do? What can it export? What programs? A lot of your data collection may actually be done automatic and it's redundant and you don't even realize it. Again, we talk about basic statistics in the yellow belt class, and we go on to even further ones in the 40-hour green belt class. We talk about the science behind statistics and why it's important and how they can be skewed. You see that a lot in car commercials with safety aspects. You see it a lot in politics. Quantitative versus qualitative data. We talk about the aspects of it, what it actually is, gives you a basic understanding of all the stats. We talk about box plots and ways to understand charting, understanding your data, and representing it for everybody from, again, an entry level to a CEO level to give you a good aspect of it all. Run line charts. We talk about bar charts and pie charts. We talk about Pareto charts and how they can actually help your processes. Again, some of this stuff is a little bit higher level, but at least you have a good overview of it. Defect ratio, defects per million opportunities, how you can actually calculate those and understand how one little change can affect so much more. Throughput yield, that's a very important aspect of companies when you make a lot of products. It adds up very quickly. Six Sigma levels, why it's actually important. Most companies are about a 2.5. So if you were at a 3, Six Sigma level of a 3, that means you have 66,807 defects out of 1,000,000. That's a lot. But guess what? Most companies are at that level. You want to get as low as possible with defects. So that's where you get the terminology Six Sigma. At Six Sigma, it's only 3.4 defects per million. That's great, especially if you get on an airplane and you don't want that many defects. So in a world of Six Sigma, 964 U.S. flights are canceled per day. In Six Sigma, we have 1 U.S. flight canceled. In 3, 1.5 misspelled words per page in a book, 1 misspelled word in all the books in the library for 6, and etc. You could see the high difference in numbers here, and we'll teach you how to get there in your class and reduce your defects. Defects create a lot of problems. This I'm going to skip over here, but we talk about the root cause analysis, 5 whys. Why were they cleaning a memorial? Because they found there was many pigeons. Pigeons were attracted to spiders. Why were there so many spiders? Spiders were attracted to midges, which are these little bugs. Why were there so many midges? Because of the floodlights. So this is a 5 why methodology where you keep asking questions so you get to the problem. So the memorial was falling apart. They had to keep going, the Jefferson Memorial, and they had to hose it down with these chemicals and all that, and it was deteriorating really fastly. So what they found out by asking questions over time and wasting all this money was it was simply the lights, like the lights that are shown on me right now, were too bright at night. So they reduced the time when the lights were on at night, changed some of their lights. They found out some other issues too. There were some chemicals that were used from the local airport, fuel emissions, etc., just by asking the questions over and over and over. And it barely cost any money, just by turning the lights down and shortening the time that the memorial was actually lit all the time, except for the flag. I know they keep the flag lit all the time. So it's a really good thing. And I don't say stop at 5. Keep asking questions. Be that little child we always knew. Why are we doing this? It's very important to keep asking questions. So we talk about fishbone diagrams in our class here, how to get to the root cause of a situation. Failure modes effects analysis. I'll quickly talk about this one here. It's a really good way, began in the 1940s by the U.S. military, step-by-step approach for identifying all possible failures. So you have your failure mode. How can things go wrong? And your effects analysis refers to the study of the consequence of those actually failures. How many times have you said at your facility, you have that one machine, you have that one computer, you have that one device. If this breaks, we're in trouble. If this goes down, we're in trouble. We don't have any parts anymore for this. If it happens, we're in trouble. This is where this comes in. This is where the U.S. military uses it. A lot of manufacturers use it. A lot of auto manufacturers love it. So you rank your ideas down to severity, occurrence, and detection. What happens if we don't have this part? Well, nothing, because that never happened. What happens if COVID-20 comes out and this gets locked down again? Be prepared for it. Get your supplies ready. So we talk about an FMEA, the risk priority number, the RPN. This is where the magic happens. You rate your risks and you give it a number. Then you put something into implementation, a process, a change about how to repair the issues, a recommended action. So you take this risk number that's really high and you reduce it to a risk number that's really low. And it's a very simple way of saying, wow, our idea to fix that what if is going to work, and it makes your executives, it makes your investors, it makes your customers all happy that we have a separate plan. It could be simple as, what happens if our network goes down and we can't talk to our customers, or we're doing virtual training and the computers go down? What if we have a second ISP, an internet service provider, on ready to go, satellite, maybe something that's off the back off the network, backup batteries, that type of stuff to keep you running. There's a lot of what ifs, and that's when you use your Six Sigma training. We talk about benchmarking, surveys, interviews, structured brainstorming. We talk a lot about this in our yellow belt and green belt classes about how to figure out to get all the right ideas in the room. Brainstorming is a tool used to identify new and creative ideas for improvement without criticism. It gives everybody an idea to, or a chance to speak up with their actual ideas. In brainstorming, you actually focus on quantity, not quality. Quantity. Many ideas, as many as possible. I teach the class, I need 3 ideas from each one of you, and I make them come up with 3 ideas, and we throw them all on the wall, and we thoroughly vet if they're actually good ideas, but we don't throw any of the ideas away. When you're sitting in a room troubleshooting, someone comes up with an idea, that's not a good one, but it might be good for another problem we're having. We can't really use that right now, but I think you're onto something. And you set that aside, put it in your notes, don't lose it, come back to it another time. Next brainstorming session, pull out all those sticky notes, pull out all those ideas and say, hey, look what we got. I think we have about 15 good ideas to help the next problem. Withhold criticism. Keep the negative people out of the room. Sometimes you have a toxic coworker. Keep them out of the room. Keep that person who's saying, oh, that's a bad idea out of the room. Reprimand them not to speak that way. We need to have people feel free to speak up. Welcome unusual ideas. I like to talk about Elon Musk because he has a lot of unusual ideas. He's very smart about coming up with new ideas, and you would think how many times his competitors are like, oh, this guy's crazy. That's never going to work. He strapped a car to a rocket and shot it in outer space, and you can still track it online. I don't know what the benefit of that was, but it was pretty neat. But we have rockets now that are flying backwards, landing in space. We have electric cars, electric car networks, tunnels, the whole works. A lot of things coming out of that. Welcome unusual ideas. Combine improve ideas. Someone may come up with one idea and you say, oh, well, it's not that great, but if we add his information, it will actually be good to it. Kaizen events or continuous improvement changes where we jump in and we work on one project, we jump on the floor, we look at all the areas, go, all right, we're going to do a Kaizen blitz. We're going to get 6 of us and work on that area. Kaizen is continuous improvements and incremental improvements over time. Proceed with caution when any kind of improvements. They need to be done with care. You need to consult everyone. Do not be a lone wolf when you're doing these projects. You cannot change something all on your own because it may affect something upstream or downstream that you were not aware of. Sources of variation, that happens a lot in the manufacturing world. You must eliminate that. If you've got a bearing in a machine that's doing this, you have to eliminate that. You have to fix that, or it's not going to be a good tooling machine. We talk about statistical process control charts and being able to stay within your limits, your upper and lower control limit, and look out for special cause variation, those outliers that you may have to throw out, or you may have to investigate. That outlier may actually be a big number that's affecting the rest of your operations. Standard operating procedures are very important. We'll talk about these a lot in our classes. How to keep work job instructions. Benefits of standards work helps sustain the process change, reinforces important changes. In these classes, you're going to learn how to make change happen. You're going to learn how to talk to the people and say, hey, I got your idea, and we're going to change the whole process. Everyone's happy, we're making a better product. And then you just walk away? No. You have to change the directions, the current best practices, the work instructions, the job instructions, whatever you're calling it, standard operating procedures. So everyone knows that they now have to do it this way, sign it all off. If you're in a quality management system, that's a natural part of it. But some companies, a lot of companies, do not have ISO verification or certifications or AS9100 certifications. So you have to work on standard work for any part of your business, and that's not just production. Standard work was really good. Here's a documentation. Always a good idea no matter how many times you've done this. This is the 1972 Apollo 17 Go No Go cue card. You've seen it in all the movies. Where a go for check. Where a go for check. And they're going through an actual process. They're going through it and understanding that, hey, we have to check all these. This is your standing operating procedures. And it is on paper, and I wonder what they're doing now. Are they using a tablet or whatnot? But I'd be afraid of the battery dying on that. So we have some examples here from McDonald's, or you can use this for Burger King and whatnot. Standard work. You go and get a cheeseburger in California, Florida, or New York. It's the same cheeseburger. Relatively the same cheeseburger. That's the idea, reducing variability. They have standard operating procedures. They're making the same product all over the world in millions. So we talk about some ideas about their employee job functions and what they have to do. We talk about review of standard work in facilities like this. And we touch on McDonald's just because it's a little fun. And we actually have some videos that we play here, and we're going to watch that video now.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. You go. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Ba-da-ba-ba.
Hi, how can I help you?
Just a quarter pounder with cheese, please.
Okay, anything else?
No, that's it.
All right, first window, please.
Thank you. McDonald's #1. Quarter pounder with cheese. Hello, thank you, polite, nice, napkins, receipt. Let's see what the next one is.
Hi, can I help you?
Hi, just a quarter pounder with cheese, please.
Okay, that comes to $5.19. Pull around.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, store #2, quarter pounder with cheese. I'm already noticing a slight difference. Bag looks good. Everything's in there. We'll see what store #3 does.
Thank you for stopping. Today we'd like to have one of our new crispy chicken sandwiches.
No, I'm good. Can I just get a quarter pounder with cheese?
Would you like the meal or just like the quarter pounder?
Just,
And that's it.
just a quarter pounder.
Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Alrighty, your total is going to be $5.19, okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Third store, quarter pounder with cheese in the city of Pittston. Everything looks good so far. Let's check it out.
Oh, before I forget, if someone asks if you want your quarter pounder's cheese on top of the patty or right below it, your answer is yes. The hottest, juiciest quarter pounder yet. It's perfect. Made perfecter. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
All right, here's all three of them. We have store number one. Here's our receipt, $5.19. Store number two, it's a different receipt. It's sticky. I think they gave me the one for the Uber guy. It's $5.08. The third store is also $5.19. First bag, we've got napkins. Looks good. Second bag, napkins. Lots more napkins. Third bag, same as the first bag. All right, so we have a quarter pounder with cheese. Bag is empty. Nice box. Looks good. Nothing else in the bag. For the second store, looks different, a little different. Third bag, not too bad. They're all pretty similar here. Okay, here's the first one. Looks pretty good. The seeds all look good. Same here, a little poke all in one. This one looks pretty good. So I guess they're all the same. Gonna start it here. So 1, 2, 3. Let's pull the buns back. Some ketchup-y and oops, I broke the bun. Here we go. They all look pretty much the same. Pretty much the same. This one's got a little bit more onions in it, maybe. Oh, there's no onions on this one. Oh, it's chopped fine. See? Chopped fine a little bit. But almost pretty much the same here. I wonder if that was a no onion one. I'll have to check the receipt. But yeah, that one didn't have a lot of onions on it. Let's flip around her. Cheese is there. There's no foreign objects. Pickles are almost all the same. I think they're pretty good. I think they did a pretty good job. So I think they did a good job. The burgers all look the same. Quarter pounders with cheese. They all sort of match. I think nobody would be able to tell that they were from 3 different restaurants. So here we go. If I was to eat them, I would right now. But I don't eat this stuff. So, hey, Abel, come here, bud. Come here. Look at that. There you go. There's your dinner. Dig in. All right, so that was a fun video that we had there. 3 different McDonald's. You see how it's pretty fun. You see how my dog ate the cheeseburgers in the end, the quarter pounders with cheese. He didn't really eat them. I just put them there as a joke. He didn't eat them. My wife would have yelled at me. But we have, here's the receipts. You can see the prices. $5.19, $5.19, $5.08. Different franchise, I guess, different fees. But it's you get the understanding of how standard work is very important. We talk about 6S workplace, sort, set, and order, shine, standardize, sustain, and safety in your workplace. We touch on that because it's very important, and this is good problem-solving methods. We'll go through your facility. We can take pictures. We can help you understand the benefits of having a cleaner workplace and a more organized workplace. We talk about this in a lot of our classes. All right, so here's an example of organization. Great, great, fantastic. Everything's hanging on the wall. There's a lot to this picture. You have a quick equipment changeovers, and you're in a hurry. Hey, you ready for that? We're going to get going. And you said it'll only take 30 minutes. Yeah, I'm good. You look over on the wall and you realize your tools are missing. Whoa, hang on, I'm not good. Not yet. Let me go get my tools. Someone took them. If this was all in a toolbox and this was all jammed in a box, you wouldn't know until the time for the changeover came. And you'd open the drawers looking and go, oh, no, all right, we have a problem. All my stuff is gone. And now that's adding to downtime, which is waste. One thing we concentrate on is removing waste. This is also good for your inventory person who's walking around. Maybe it's your shift leader. Maybe it's someone in purchasing. They can walk by and say, does he or she have everything they need to do their job? And no. If you look there, the one blue box is actually empty. Very simple. All right, she puts it on her list. She walks in the back, fills up the process, reduces downtime. The production worker who's working right there leans over and he sees it's there. He can go off to work. So this is very important for reducing waste. Some benefits of success: improves efficiency, quality, safety. Employees are generally happier. The place is cleaner, more organized. Frustration is eliminated. You're in a hurry. You want to get the job done. You want to get the task done. You open the drawer. You go to look for the parts. You go look for your tools. They're not there. You can't get it done. Now you're wasting your time walking around like we talked with the spaghetti diagram. We talk about benefit cost analysis. We'll go through that and how it's important to understand the cost of making these decisions. We'll teach you a little bit about how to do the calculations on that. Return on investment, that's a fancy term sometimes you hear in a board meeting. What's the ROA on that? Well, we'll teach you how to figure that out. Here's some examples. You can use lean in your daily life. You have a shed out back. It's hard to fill up. It's a lot of issues. There's a lot of bicycles in it. It's crappy. It's not well made. It's very hard to get stuff in there. It's loud and ugly. So here's some actual lean use in a house. A nice, beautiful shed with multiple accesses, bikes hanging up, motorcycle in there. All your tools are hung up. 3 points of entry into a shed that's almost the same size as the normal shed that has one door. Think about it. If you had 3 doors into that shed, you can get your lawnmower out easier by going out the other door. So it's good examples. In your kitchen, next time you're doing some remodeling, look at those fancy pot racks that are up top hanging on your walls. They're there for a reason, to be efficient. This is why the restaurants have all the stuff hanging up. Not in drawers, not in cabinets, not bending over, not getting tired from going on the floor all the time. Everything's hanging up in a restaurant so you can be quick, so you can grab the material. Same thing with your layout of your cabinets. Possibly look at maybe moving your refrigerator closer. I know it sounds silly, but it's actually important. It makes things go quicker. We're always rushed for time at the workplace, but we're always rushed for time at home too. So one more thing here before we're about to wrap up. I want to talk to you about education. Education is very important. People think of education as something they can finish. Your education is never finished. You did not finish school. I finished, I got my bachelor's. I finished, I got my master's. You're never, ever finished. You have to keep moving forward. And classes like this really help you learn more. So that's about it. Thank you guys very much. I'm Brian Matyjevich, Lean Enterprise Consultant and Master Black Belt here at NEPIRC.